Hey guys, Tess Gascon here.
Courtney Swift.
We're here to tell you about qualifying your buyer leads and determining their needs. So, how do you usually start out when you're speaking to somebody?
When I talk to people, I want to get to know them. I want to know what motivates them, what they're looking to do. I ask a lot of questions just to find out where they're looking, what their situation is, when they're looking at buying, and what they're looking for in a home.
Awesome. Okay. What kind of questions do you usually, when you're trying to get to know them on a personal level, not just what they're looking for, what kind of questions do you usually get to ask them in order to kind of build that bond with them?
So first I ask them, just basically, I ask them, you are on our website looking for homes, when are you looking at moving? And then it kind of just guides them into kind of thinking about when they're looking at moving, what their current situation is. And then if they answer, then I ask like, what are they looking for? What are they looking for in a home?
Awesome. Okay. And do you take, like, I typically take the time to just understand why are they moving, and it gives me a better understanding of when their time frame is going to be, because if they're locked into a lease or if they have to sell their house first, those are all things that you kind of want to know from the get-go, right? So you kind of need to know a little bit about their motivation behind why they're moving too.
Yeah, but I mean, the first step is obviously to build the rapport, right? And so that's what we're doing, is by asking those questions, is building the rapport.
Yeah, so real quick, do you want to do more of like a role play on how that first conversation might go?
Sure.
Okay, cool. All right, you want to be the agent, or do you want me to be the agent?
I can be the agent.
She's like she's a cold calling queen, and she is like the phone queen. Anytime that I talk to somebody, they're super grumpy, they get on the phone with Courtney, she just like puts them right at ease. So
I really like, when I first start talking to people, I like sit up straight, I get a smile on my face, and then I'm like, okay, I'm ready to make this call,
right,
or answer the call, either one. But I always like put myself in a place where I'm like excited. I'm excited to talk to them. And so it's not like, I don't dread it, and a lot of people dread it. And so, I mean, that's maybe why you're getting that reaction. But I'm excited to call people. So I get myself in a place, I sit up straight, or I'll stand, and I'll put a smile on my face.
Awesome. Yeah. And I have to pace sometimes too. I know a lot of people talk about that. Do like the Tony Robbins jump. But okay, cool. So that's it.
Little ring, ring, ring. Hello. Hi, this is Courtney Swift, licensed realtor. How are you today?
I'm good. What do you want?
I am calling because you're on our website looking at homes. When are you looking at moving?
We're not sure if we're going to buy or if we're going to move yet. We don't know.
Got it. Okay, that sounds good. When you are looking to move, what are you looking for in a home?
We need a yard for our kids and our dogs, a little more space so that our kids don't have to share a room. We want a better neighborhood, just because right now we don't really have interaction with our neighbors, that kind of thing.
Awesome. Very cool. So what is the reason that you're kind of putting it on hold?
Well, we don't know if we even have enough money to purchase a home. We don't really know anything about the process. We're just not sure where to start.
Okay, makes sense. So the first step is definitely talking to a lender. Have you spoken with a lender yet?
No, we haven't.
Are you in a lease right now?
Yeah, we're in a lease until August.
Okay, so you're starting at the right time. The next step would be to get you in touch with the lender, just to kind of get an idea of what you're looking for before we set you up on a search, just so that you have an idea of what price point, the area, and what we're looking at. Does that make sense?
Yeah, are they going to pull my credit?
They may pull your credit. We're kind of a ways out, so I just think right now let's talk to the lender, give them an idea of what you're looking for and when you're looking at moving, and we'll let them decide. Is that okay?
Yeah.
Awesome. Sounds good. Well, I will get you in contact with my lender, and we'll just take it from there.
Thanks, Courtney. We have some actual phone recordings of Courtney doing calls as well, so we'll plug those in so that you can actually see, because I know I was a little bit nicer than some people can be, so that way you can see some of the objection handling and the way that she handles it, and you just kind of flow. And even if you need to have a list of, like, when I first started calling people, I'd have a list of questions, and really I was coming from the flip side where I had just gotten my license and I had just bought a house. So I kind of thought from that perspective too, what's important to them and what are they going to want to hear versus really being salesy to them and just kind of making sure that you understand, like, moving is such a horrific process, and then having to go through all the lending part of it too. You need to just let them know that, like, you're on their side.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, and I think the key too is, like, when making phone calls, and I've made hundreds and hundreds of calls, is really to match their tonality. So if somebody calls and they're not having a good day, then I won't be so perky, because they may not like that, right? So the tonality is huge when making phone calls. Or if you have an older gal who, I can't speak as fast, I need to slow down, it's important to match whatever tonality that they have, just to have a successful call.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, absolutely. There's actually a couple of books that you can read to kind of help with that too, right?
Jordan Belfort is really one of my favorite guys for sales, and he goes through the streamlined process, and you can actually watch his videos, his YouTubes. They're like quick 10-minute slips of the tonality, and you have a point where you want to get people, and they may bring you off that line, but your job is to bring them back up on that line. But tonality is very important when making phone calls.
Yeah. Do you do like any role play or rehearsing before you do any of this, or do you just kind of go into it with them?
Well, I think it's important. Like, I've been doing it for a long time. I think it's important for any new agent or somebody who is experienced, who hasn't been making phone calls, to do role play, right? Because you're going to experience all kinds of people, all walks of life, grumpy, not grumpy, happy, older, younger, like everybody. You're going to experience everybody. So I think it's important to do the role playing.
Yeah, definitely. Anytime you got to hang up, just call right back. Let them know, sorry, I think we got disconnected. It's gonna happen.
I actually make it a game for myself. When somebody hangs up, I'm like, are they gonna answer? Are they gonna answer? I want them to answer. I would say, like, my percentage on them answering when I call right back is probably like 1%. Which is great, because then they're getting a text from me.
That's funny. Yeah, I get a lot of people that they'll answer just to tell me, like, no, we didn't get disconnected, I hung up on you. Like, oh, okay.
And guess what, guys? It's okay if they hang up. I just move on to the next one. We do calls from 8:30 to 10:30 every day, and everybody jumps in to the Zoom, and I get hung up on, and I'm like, okay, moving on. I don't take anything personal. They may not be ready. They may not want to talk to me. Like, I have no clue what's going on in their life. I just move on.
Yeah.
And put them on a list to call in 3 months. Like, it's fine.
Right? Yeah. You can't take it personal at all.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
No.
So one thing that I had to do to start not taking it personally was my follow-ups. I use FU, so that every time that I get an FU, I don't associate it with, like, God, these people hate me. It's more of a, oh, okay, that's fine, because now I just use it for my follow-ups. So you'll see it all over my calendar, FU, 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 and I'm just kind of numb to it now. I don't know if that's right, but it works for me. So, awesome.
So really the first step when talking with a potential buyer, potential client, is to get them to the lender, to get them pre-qualified. We want to find out how serious these buyers are and how much time we're going to spend with these buyers.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, absolutely. So relate to them, make sure that you find out what they're looking for, get them over to the lender.
Which reminds me, what is the difference between a pre-qualification letter and a pre-approval letter?
Pre-qual means that they just put in their basic information, no full application was done, and some automated system or even maybe a lender said, like, yeah, basic info, they probably qualify. Pre-application, they went through the details and made sure they likely have pulled credit at that point, and then also if they're a fantastic lender like ours, they will have already put them through underwriting to make sure that there's no hiccups, there's going to be no surprises. When you write that offer, you're golden.
And in a hot market, it's very important to have the pre-approval instead of just the pre-qualification.
Absolutely, yeah. There's most sellers and listing agents that are, experienced and know what they're doing. They're not going to accept a pre-qual in order to actually go under contract.
And so with all these, the calls, right? We pay for leads and these calls come in. Do you meet with the client first, or do you try and get them to the lender without meeting them?
So for me, it kind of depends on source, and then it also depends on the urgency, right? Like if they're like, drop everything you're doing in the next 30 minutes and come meet me, I might not be able to adjust to that. I might say like, hey, we can definitely look at this property tomorrow just so that I can build the relationship. I'll give them one property. We're not going out to go see 10. And then at that point, I'm going to, in person, build that relationship a little bit more, and then get them comfortable and have the conversation of why we really need in order to proceed, whether they love that home, want to offer on it, or they want to keep looking, why we have to have that conversation with the lender and why they have to do the application. Because at that point, it's not fun for anybody. Like if they don't qualify in that price point, if they're 6 months out because of their credit or some issue that came up, if there's something that has to be fixed that we can't foresee on the real estate side, then it's sad because they're falling in love with this house or one of the houses that they're looking at, and there's nothing that we can do to help them with it. So there's that aspect. And then also, this is what we do for a living, so we don't want to put all of this time into somebody that needs to take further steps in order to get to that point. So
I think that's fantastic because it's important to meet them once, right? They have no idea typically who we are. And so I think it's important to meet them once, and then as they're going through the home, that's when you're also building that rapport. You're asking them questions. You're asking them questions about what their life is like, what they like, what kind of sports they like, do they have any family? You really want to get to know them, and that first appointment is key to get out there. Like I come from the old school of, no, you get them in touch with the lender first and then you start shopping for homes. I do think it's important to meet them one time just to build that rapport, especially if it's an internet lead.
Right, yeah. And when in doubt, if you're in there and you, like, sometimes you don't always vibe with them right away, or they don't understand why you're asking these questions. So when in doubt, you can always relate to Ford. So family, occupation, recreation, and then dreams.
That too. Let's start over. Ford.
Family, occupation, recreation, and dreams. Talk to them about all of those things. How's their family doing? What do they do for a living? That kind of thing. And then if you get through those basic and you're able to really get the conversation going and you're like, I don't know what to ask now or what to talk to them about, Hefe, hobbies, entertainment, food, and environment. So what do they like to do for fun? Have they seen any good movies lately? Is there anything that they are specifically interested in for their entertainment?
What would you say? The biggest takeaway would be to build the rapport.
Yeah.
With the potential client.
Exactly. Even though it's a fine balance, because even though you're like, okay, I'm going to make 1,000 calls today, or I have 1 hour that I have to knock out all these calls, you have to go from that mindset, and then once you're actually speaking to them, get out of the transactional mindset, and now you're building the relationship with them. So that's what I would say.
Awesome. Thanks, guys. Till next time.
Good
Click
luck.
on the bottom to subscribe.
Definitely subscribe.